What's up, y'all? So, good morning. I was recently talking to someone and we were talking about obedience. And in this conversation about obedience, he said something that kind of blew my mind. Now, what I've always heard was the thing that I've heard about kind of like not fulfilling your purpose and doing what you're called to do. The saying that I've always heard around that is all of the best ideas are in the graveyard. Have you guys ever heard that before? Meaning, people go their whole lives having these ideas, having these magnificent ideas. However, the overwhelming majority of people never truly fulfill those ideas. Like they never truly do anything with them. So one of the things that I've always heard about ideas and purpose is that the best ideas are in the graveyard. And that breaks my heart. Like that's part of the reason why our mission at the Plant Protocol is to extend the healthy life expectancy for people of color because we want them to not only be healthy, right? But we want them to be healthy enough to do what they feel like they're called to do. And so every time I hear this saying that the best ideas are in the graveyard, it breaks my heart a little bit because they're in a graveyard for two reasons. One, because most people, especially people of color, die prematurely. Like we're dying from preventable diseases and things that we could have avoided or that we could have put into remission just by making lifestyle changes. So when I hear that the best ideas are in the graveyard, right, I'm thinking about number one, people who died prematurely before it was really their time. They died from stuff that was preventable, like heart disease and heart attacks and strokes and diabetes and kidney failure and fatty liver disease and just, suicide when it comes to mental health, right? Things that we could have potentially done something about. So it breaks my heart for that reason. But it also breaks my heart when I hear the best ideas are in the graveyard because people are dying with their ideas and their gifts and their vision inside of them because they were too scared to execute, right? Because they weren't introduced to this idea of obedience and radical obedience. And so when I think about all of the phenomenal ideas and things that could have came to life had they had different choices or been exposed to something differently, it really just drives me to get up every morning and just plunge forward towards our mission of extending the healthy life expectancy for marginalized communities. And so back to this conversation I was recently having. So I told y'all I was recently having a conversation with someone and we were talking about this idea of our vision and our mission and our gifts and our ideas going unfulfilled. And he said something to me that I had never considered before. He said, he said, I don't want to be somebody who doesn't do what God has told me to do. But then he said, because he might give that idea to someone else or it'll die. Now, I knew the it'll die part, right? I always imagined that if God gives us an assignment and gives us a divine download, I always imagined that that was our divine download and we were meant to execute on it. And if we don't, of course, it's disobedience. But then also if we don't, that thing dies with us, right? And that's partially true. But when he said, I don't want to be the person that doesn't do what God told me to do because he's then going to give that idea to someone else, I almost froze in my tracks because I had never, ever considered this idea that if I don't execute on the thing that I'm thinking of, that someone else may take it and execute on it. I had never thought of that. Like I had never thought of this idea that, I have this mission of extending the healthy life expectancy for people of color. And if I don't fulfill this mission, if I don't show up every day, I was just thinking it would never get done, right? I was so naive to think that nobody's going to save our people except for me, right? I never considered that, someone else could potentially be given that idea or that assignment or something very similar to it, right? And instantly made me extremely, extremely possessive. Like the thought when he said to me, he may give that idea to someone else. And have we all experienced this where like we kind of thought of something or had an idea and we just let it stay an idea and we never really did anything with it. And then we saw something similar to it out in the world. Has that ever happened to you guys where you were thinking of something like this or along those lines, you never execute it, and then lo and behold, one day you hear about or see something very similar to your idea out in the marketplace or out in the world, or you see somebody else kind of forging that mission forward? And so I instantly got really possessive about my assignment. I instantly got really possessive about my ideas. And I started thinking about all the true crime shows and podcasts that I watch, right? And where, basically people get possessive over other people and they're like, if I can't have you, nobody can. That's how I feel about my mission. That's how I feel about my assignment. Like I instantly got into this mode where I'm like, wait. If I can't have my idea, nobody can have my idea. Like that's how you should be talking to your ideas. That's how you should be talking to your mission. That's how you should be talking to your vision. Like, if I can't have you, nobody can. Right. Period. And I'm not because I'm trying to keep it to my chest or keep it to myself or don't want anybody to help me. But it's like God gave me this divine download. He gave me this assignment. And I want to make sure that number one, every single day I wake up and give God a return on his investment in me, right? He woke me up today. Let me give him a return on his daily investment in me. But then also like, I'll be damned if I come on YouTube or Facebook live one week and I see somebody else talking about extending the health. Now, I'm not mad about other people talking about it. Like we need as many people as we can to extend the healthy life expectancy of people of color. But it stings a little bit when they talking about it and you not. It stings a little bit when you not on that and they own that and you're supposed to be on that. So anyway, I want to talk about radical obedience today. I was having a conversation with one of our challengers recently. So many of you guys know we're here at the Plant Protocol. We're currently hosting a 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. And we have 3 tiers for the challenge. We have general admission, we have VIP, and we have ultra VIP. And those challengers who purchase an ultra VIP ticket, they get a private one-on-one coaching session with me. And so today's live is brought to you by Leslie of our 30-day challenge. Me and Leslie recently had our one-on-one coaching session, and we got to talking about obedience as miraculously, somehow, some way, I always do with almost everybody, right? And Leslie asked me, I was breaking down to her kind of what obedience should look like and feel like, because she was asking me like, how do I know, Lisa, if I'm already like whether or not I'm already there, whether or not I'm already doing that? Because I kind of feel like I use my gifts. I kind of feel like, and she was like, so like, can you break down for me, how would I know if I'm already at that place of kind of obedience? And I started sharing it with her. And she was like, you need to talk about this more. Like, she was like, it would be really cool to have a checklist. And I said, say less. And so here we are. And so I'm about to briefly go through with you guys kind of 3 ways to know whether or not you're being obedient, right? And we're gonna kind of start with obedience, and then we're going to take it up a notch to radical obedience. And I want to make sure that you guys kind of have a bit of a framework to operate from when you're trying to decide if you're on the right track. Now, I've been living a life of radical obedience personally since 2012 when I quit my 9-to-5 working as a foster care worker and decided to take a gigantic leap of faith and start working abroad with no salary, living in another country, and decided to ditch all the things I went to school for and go work at the United States Embassy in Rome, Italy. And I didn't have any job, any plan for a career when I got back to the US. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to live abroad. I knew I wanted to see the world. That's a big deal for me. And so I got that opportunity to do so. And I said, forget it. I'm going to cash in my 401k and I'm going to do the doggone thing. And that was the very first memory I personally have of living a life of making a radically obedient decision. erratically, like it just felt right. I had no, like, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna make money. I don't know where I'm about to live in Rome. I don't speak the first language. I'm doing this unpaid internship, which means I have to fund my entire experience in this country, right? And I have to figure it out, but it feels like this is where my life should go next. And I wasn't wrong, right? But for a lot of us, it's very challenging to make decisions like that. For a lot of us, it is very challenging to make big decisions like that. Like, I'm just moving strictly because it feels right. No other reason. I'm just moving because something is telling me this is the right next step. And I don't know the step after that. Like, it's very challenging for some of us, for some of us to move with low visibility. And that's what faith is. Faith is all about moving through life with low visibility, right? And so I want to give you guys kind of a short checklist on, how to know whether or not you are being obedient in this life, because it is my belief that obedience provides and grants us favor. And so if you want more favor in life, obedience is the way to get there. It's like a shortcut to favor. When you are obedient to what God told you to do, it's like a shortcut to favor, like nothing I've ever seen before. You guys have no idea. Wait till you see how my 2024 is about to end. Wait till my first live in 2025. You should put it on your calendar right now. Matter of fact, you should put on your calendar 10 a.m. EST Monday, the very first Monday, January 2025. Wait till I tell you what went down in 2024. You're going to be like, that's next level favor. I'm going to be like, I know, I told you. Watch, I promise you. Obedience is the shortcut to favor. So let me give you a quick checklist on whether or not you are being obedient. Now, I want to start with just obedience in general, right? Now, you guys know I take it up about 18 steps and I talk about radical obedience, but let's just start by talking about obedience in general. And I'm going to talk about obedience from kind of a, what am I meant to do in this world type of perspective? Like, what am I meant, like what impact am I meant to make? How am I meant to show up, right? And more around your profession and what you do. Like, obedience, let me be clear, is required in every area of your life though, right? Like, you should be obedient in your health. You should be obedient in your relationships. You should be obedient in your finances. You should be obedient in your faith. Like, obedience transcends every single area of our life. But what most people hear me talk about when I talk about obedience is kind of from the perspective of like career and professionally. So that's the perspective I'll talk from today. So here's the first way to know whether you are obedient in your life right now. And it's very simple. Are you using your gift? Like, you know what your gift is. Now, if you're one of those people who are like, I don't know what my gift is, I have no idea. Or if you're one of those people who are like, I don't even have a gift. Okay, this conversation is not for you. We'll talk about how to discover, how to know what your gift is in a later episode. But this is for individuals who are clear on what their gift is. You know what you're good at. You know what comes naturally to you, like what feels naturally easy for you. You know what that is, right? So the first box that you need to check to determine whether or not you're being obedient in your life right now is, are you using your gift? Are you using your gift on a regular basis? Now, mind you, I did not say, are you getting paid to use your gift? I didn't say anything about monetization. So I'm not saying it has to be your gift has to be your 9 to 5. That's not what I'm saying. Your gift doesn't necessarily have to be your business if you don't so choose, right? But are you using your gift in some capacity right now in your life on a consistent cadence, on a regular basis? Okay. That is the first box you have to check to determine whether or not you're being obedient in life. You have a gift. Do you use it? I'm using it with you guys right now. Like, speaking, teaching, my jam, coaching, best. I'm good at it. I'm great at it, right? I'm great at taking. I've heard this from multiple people. Typically complex ideas and breaking them down and oversimplifying so that they're consumable. That's my jam, right? I'm also what we all now call me a wordsmith, right? So I'm very good at articulation and putting ideas together and making it make sense and talking in a language that the average person can understand and can conceptualize when it's typically a complex subject. That's my jam. That's my gift, right? So I use my gift on live with you guys every day. I use my gift on every stage that I step on. I'm teaching on a regular basis in different capacities, sometimes for no money at all, but I intentionally use and hone my gift. I allow people to set private complimentary calls with me just so I can get more reps in on my gift. Like, I use it on a regular basis. So that's number one. right? Are you using your gift? That's the first box you need to check. Now, here's box number 2. There's only 3 for whether or not you're obedient, okay? The second box you need to check to determine whether or not you're being obedient is, are you using your gift in service to others? Like, very intentional. When I say in service to others, I'm saying, as a result of how you use your gift, are you helping to solve a problem for somebody else? Major or minor, it don't have to be a big earth-shattering thing, but are you intentionally in service to others, meaning you're willing to use your gift even if it isn't being monetized, right? Because what you're not going to do is dishonor the fact that God has given you a gift, right? And all of our gifts are meant to be regifted. So 1, are you using your gift? 2, are you using it for good? Are you using it in service to others to enhance the quality of somebody's life? Because it's possible to use our gift in another way. Because let me tell you something. This wordsmith tongue of mine hasn't always been used to enhance somebody's life. I've had to apologize to people in my life for how sharp my words and my tongues have been, because I've been so sweet on being on the clapbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, my communication skills have been so dope for a long time that I've hurt people's feelings with my gifts, and I'm aware of it, right? Because they can't keep up in the conversation, because I'm like, oh, my brain be like, oh, snap back, right? So I've had to apologize to individuals in my life for my snappiness and for my ability to communicate so well, and right, and snatch some edges. So are you using your gift to enhance the quality of somebody's life, right? After somebody receives, right, or is a recipient of your gift, can they say that their life and the quality of their life has been enhanced as a result, right? So do we use the gift? Okay. And do we use the gift for good and to improve the quality of somebody's life? Obedience, evidence of obedience is always, always, always in service to other people. Evidence of obedience is always in service to other people. Period. There's no 2 ways about it. It is not just self-promoting. It is always in service to other people. So that's the second box you need to check to determine whether or not you are being obedient. Are you in service to others intentionally, or are you out here strictly in service to yourself? Like, Lisa, are you using your gift of communication and talking and breaking ideas down just to line your pockets, or just to get yourself the next opportunity, or are you genuinely, like, in your spirit, whether or not you're showing up for other people selflessly, right? Does service lead? For us, one of our core values at the Plant Protocol is service leads and money follows. Service leads and money follows. And that is how I do everything that we do. I think in service first. I don't think in, oh my God, how much this is going to cost me, whether it be cost me in time or cost me in energy or cost me in money. I don't think like that. I think about, how can I be in service first? So is your gift being used in service first? Okay. That's the second box that you want to check to determine whether or not you are truly being radically obedient. Now, here's the third one, because most people get this third one wrong, right? And that's why many people are miserable. They're like, I'm using my gift. I know I'm supposed to be in ministry. I'm in ministry, right? Or I have this beautiful voice that God gave me. So I am singing. I am using my voice, like whatever it is. But where people mostly go wrong is on number 3, which is you are using your gift to solve the problem that you prefer to solve, a problem that really pulls at your heartstrings. You're using your gift to be in service to the people for whom you have a compassionate need to serve. Let me be super clear about this, because in service, sometimes we'll fool us into believing we're doing the right thing, because it's never a bad thing to do good, right? It's never a bad idea to do good. But what I have seen over and over and over again in my multiple years as a coach is people are in service, but they are not in service to a mission or a cause that's meaningful to them. So they're using their gift in service to a mission or a cause that doesn't really resonate with them. And that's what causes burnout. That's what causes overwhelm. That's what causes resentment and regret. I've seen it. Like I've seen people be working like in ministry in a church, and they're like, I'm in service, like I'm serving God's people. I'm helping out my pastor, blah blah blah. But Lisa, I hate it. I'm burnt out. The thought of going there every week is like tires me. It doesn't resonate with me anymore. But we don't know how to cut it off because it seems like the right thing to continue to do. Right? It's just like me quitting being a foster care worker for the state of Michigan. Like, I'm in service. I'm trying to reunite these families and these children with their biological parents. But even though it's a phenomenal cause, even though it's something we all should have at least be akin to and be aware of, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me, right? And so I quit, right? But it's a state of a Michigan job, it's a government job. You get all these things. You're in service. You're doing something well, but it's not. So the third thing that most people miss, y'all, is that we sometimes feel bad about not being fulfilled, but we don't want to quit doing the thing we're doing because it seems like the right thing to do because it's a good cause and maybe there's good benefits or whatever it is. But the third box that you absolutely have to check when it comes to obedience is your service mutually beneficial? Is your service mutually beneficial? Can you truly say when you lay down at night and you're alone with your thoughts, can you truly say when you wake up in the morning and you're looking at your schedule, can you truly say you're looking forward to doing it again? Can you truly say that you are fulfilled, that you are satisfied spiritually? Emotionally, a lot of us eat emotionally because we are so unhappy in our day to day that the only joy we can get out of most of our days is in the bag of chips or in some fried food or in a drive-through. I tell people all the time, when I discovered how much being on a stage and speaking and teaching filled me up. Now, listen, back when I used to eat sugar, y'all know I'm a plant-based vegan. When I used to eat sugar, donuts were my favorite, like donuts, my jam, right? I don't know. It's been years since I had a donut, but donuts were my jam. And nothing ever tasted as good as donuts until I stepped on the stage with a mic in my hand. I was like, oh, snap. I done found something that done beat donuts out, honey. French fries is my favorite food. I can now go months without French fries, y'all. Months without French fries. Why? Because I found something that tastes better. I found something that feels better. So your gift and the cause and the people who you are in service to with your gift should be a cause and a purpose that resonates with you and fills you up more than any substance could, more than any food could, more than anything else could. Your service and the execution of that service should be mutually beneficial. You must have self-actualization in this world, period. Self-actualization means that your gifts and your talents are being optimized and used at their highest capacity. It means that I feel like when I walk off the stage, when I shut down the Zoom room from that masterclass that I'm teaching, right? When I walk out of that coaching, that one-on-one coaching session, I feel like I left everything there. I've emptied out. Right. And now I can go get filled up again at the next set. Like it should be mutually beneficial. Obedience brings peace. So I've talked to so many people who are struggling with discontentment. They are so unhappy and unwell, even though they're waking up every day to be in service to their family, right? They're keeping a roof over their family's head. They're like, doing everything they're supposed to do as a responsible adult. And sometimes we let adulting override our animalistic need to be self-actualized, right? So we let kind of like culture tell us that, okay, you get up, you work hard, you just do what's supposed to be done to take care of all your responsibilities, and you don't worry about your own happiness right now, or you compromise your health right now, or you do what needs to be done to take care of these babies. Like you don't get to spend money on you during this season. You have to prioritize doing this, and you have to prioritize taking care of them. And that is exactly how we die prematurely. That is exactly how our best ideas end up in a graveyard. That is exactly how we wake up one day 40 pounds overweight with a food addiction and we don't have the love and intimacy in our life that we once envisioned. We don't have the purpose and fulfillment in our life that we once envisioned because we've been disobedient for so long that we've normalized disobedience, and now we're suffering from the consequences of disobedience. Your gift and the execution of it should be mutually beneficial. You do not have to use your gift on a cause that doesn't resonate with you. You just don't have to. And you shouldn't, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You can die young and still be alive. Listen to that and write it down. You can die young and still be alive. Some of us are the walking dead because we are so miserable, because we're so disobedient. You can die young and still be alive. So now let's take it up one more notch before we wrap up here today. Okay. So obedience is simply, am I using my gift? Am I using my gift for good in service to others? And have I selected the cause that means the most to me? Therefore, the usage of my gift is mutually beneficial. Not only are the recipients of my gift, their lives are significantly improved by me showing up, but my life is significantly improved, so much so that I don't need a cookie or a potato chip or a drive-through burger to make me happy, because I'm so fulfilled in what I get to do every moment of the day. Are you so fulfilled where you feel like, you know what, I really feel like my gifts and my talents are being optimized and maximized? Like, do you have self-actualization? Are you on the road to self-actualization? Okay, so that's obedience. Now let's end by putting the extra sauce on it, because what I talk about is not obedience. I talk about radical obedience, and that's a whole different beast. Okay, so let me give you guys some boxes to check to ensure you are being radically obedient, because obedience and radical obedience are not the same. Okay. They are not the same. They live on the same block, but they ain't got the same address. Okay. So radical obedience, the very first indicator of whether or not you are radically obedient. First of all, let me define it, right? Radical obedience is, really about doing the thing that you know you're supposed to be doing, and despite the presence of fear and uncertainty. Right? It's operating and moving forward on the thing you know you're supposed to be doing, despite the presence of fear and uncertainty. Now, radical obedience. Remember earlier I talked about obedience transcends every area of your life, right? And I told you today I was going to talk more about in the context of professionally what you're doing. But one sign that you are radically obedient in your life is that you are obedient in all areas, not just in what you do professionally, but you're obedient in your health. You're obedient in your finances. You're obedient in your relationships. You're obedient in your faith. You're obedient across there's not an area of your life that you can look at and be like, I'm not really pulling my weight over there. So radical obedience means I'm not just doing the thing that people can publicly see, but privately I'm drinking the water and getting to bed on time. Privately I'm meditating, praying. Privately I'm working on my faith muscle. Privately I'm doing the personal development work to make me better every day. Radical obedience is about the things that people can't see. I'm saving and I'm paying myself first, and I'm being a good steward of my money. I'm going to be a good steward of my time. I'm being a radical. See, obedience is like publicly what people can see. Like, y'all see me on live here every week. Like, y'all see me how I operate in a challenge in this masterclass. That you see me being obedient. And one, if their eye isn't sharp, if they aren't seasoned with their vision, one would look at me and everything that I do publicly and be like, oh, she obedient. Right? Like we done all seen, let me name a good artist. Let me name it Bruno Mars on the mic, right? Y'all know Bruno Mars got a voice from the gods, right? And he got feet from all the gods. That boy be dancing. We done all seen somebody like Bruno Mars on the stage, or we done all seen an actor like Denzel on the screen, and we be like, ooh, God didn't select them to do nothing but that, because we're watching obedience, right? But we don't know if they radically obedient. Like, I don't know if they then go somewhere and eat right. I don't know how often they're exercising. I don't know if they pour into their relationships and they covet intimacy and strong social connections as much as they should. Like, we know they obedient in their gift and with their talent, but are they radically obedient across all areas? That's the part we don't see. Radical obedience is the part we don't see, right? And so, first sign of radical obedience is, does it transcend every area of your life, even the stuff that only you know about? That's number one. Number two, and this is the one for me. The second way to know whether or not you're radically obedient is the speed at which you move. So when you get the divine download, so the space between when you get the divine download and when you take action on the download, that space should be as short as possible. What typically happens for a lot of us as we're getting into practice of this obedience thing is we get the divine download and then we take weeks, months, sometimes years to execute. So you eventually become obedient, but it takes a real long time for you to have a big enough faith or for you to have enough courage or whatever it is. So you're obedient, but you ain't radically obedient, because radical obedience says the space between the divine download and the action taken is as short as possible. It's similar to when you guys have all thought of somebody and then you didn't call them when you thought about them. You didn't text them when you thought about them. You didn't reach out to them when you thought about them. And then what happens? They reach out to you. And then what you say, I was just thinking about you. You thought about me last week. God put me on your mind last week. You didn't call me to next week. You ain't radically obedient. The space between when you get the divine download and when you take the action needs to be as short as possible. So eventually you get around to doing the thing, but you don't do it as quick as you're supposed to, right? So radical obedience is number one. It transcends all areas, even the ones the public can't see. Number two, the speed at which you take action when God tells you to move is as short as the time is as short as possible. The speed is as quick as possible. The time between when you are told to do it and when you actually do it is as short as possible. That should be a short time span. I got the divine download here. I did the thing immediately. I dropped everything and did what God told me to do. So that's radical obedience. Radical meaning complete, obedience meaning surrender. Radical obedience is complete surrender. Some of y'all just kind of half in the surrender, right? You like 40% surrender, right? You're like 70% surrender. And some of y'all is real tricky. It's real tricky because you 90% surrender. So you doing better than most, but you still ain't at 100. And that 90 is starting to give you a false positive because you're 90% at surrender, but you still ain't at 100. So radical obedience is, how quickly do you move when God tells you to? Radical obedience is, am I obedient in every area of my life, right? And not just the ones that the public can see. And I would say the last one, the last box that you need to check to identify whether or not you are radically obedient in your life is when you do move. So you like, no, Lisa, when God gave me the divine download, I move as quickly as possible. Okay, very good. You like, no, Lisa, I'm obedient in every area of my life. Okay, here's the final box you need to check for radical obedience. And that is, when you do move, when you do take action, do you do it with complete certainty? Do you do it with the utmost faith that God told me to do this, so I know that only a good outcome could come of this? Do you do it without a plan B? God told me to start this business, but I'm going to keep my 9-to-5 just in case. If you got a just in case plan on anything, you ain't radically obedient. You obedient because you started the business. You obedient because you writing a book. You obedient because you're using your gift, but you keep a plan B in your back pocket. Plan B in your back pocket is the absence of faith. The absence of faith is not radical obedience. It's obedience because I'm still moving, but I'm moving with uncertainty. So if you haven't mastered the art of moving with certainty when God tells you what to do, you ain't radically obedient. But you're doing good than the average person in our population, because most people are just full out disobedient. But don't be fooled. Like, don't let your good become the enemy of your great. Be very careful with giving yourself a pat on the back too soon, because you're moving, but you're still moving with uncertainty. You're still moving with doubt. Right? You're not like, there's still, here's the better way to say it. You haven't burned the bridge yet. Does that resonate? You haven't burned the bridge yet. The bridge means I can still get back to the other side if I need to. Like, I'm not going to put in my resignation letter. Like, I'll still do this, but I'm not going to put people on notice. Like, I'm not going to put that person on notice. Like, I'm just going to I'm just going to slowly separate from them. I'm not going to have the tough conversation and tell them that it's over between us. Right. Because I'm not going to burn a bridge yet because I'm too scared. Like, because what if? Like, bridges are made of what ifs. That's the material that bridges are made with, right? You don't quite walk away from the thing that you know you're not supposed to be doing or engaging in anymore. Because just in case, right? Like, I had a client many years ago. Shout out to Tracy. Tracy is phenomenal. And she started losing weight and was losing weight. And I called her one day and she said, Coach, I went out and bought a coat, a winter coat. This was a couple years ago. And I'm like, okay, that's what's up. She said, but I bought it. Now, Tracy used to be 600 pounds. And she said, I bought it, Coach, in like a 5X, 6X. I said, why you buy that size? You in the 300s now. You probably we could do a 3X. Like, we could do something different. Like, why you got that size? And she said, just in case. Right. She wasn't completely sold on her ability to keep her weight down. She wasn't completely sold on the fact that the scale was going to keep moving in the downward direction. Like, so she was still buying clothes that she could fit if she gained the weight back. She didn't have faith in her ability to execute and maintain the results she had gotten. She had a plan B, right? She had built a bridge of what if and just in case. Right? What if and just in case. And so when we move, even though she was being obedient in her health, she was working out, she had adopted a plant-based diet, she had a coach, she had all the things that in outside looking in would make it appear as if she was radically obedient. But in her closet where all of us couldn't see, she still had a 6 and a 5X just in case. Right? So what's in your closet? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the just in case that's in your closet that we can't see, even though outwardly it looks like you're doing the thing? It looks like you're doing the thing, but that faith muscle is still so weak that you refuse to burn the bridge, right? So that's the checklist, guys. Whether or not you're being obedient, I gave y'all that, and then whether or not you're being radically obedient, right? Am I moving with speed? Success loves speed. Am I moving with urgency when God tells me what to do? That's radical obedience, right? And am I also making sure that I have faith when I move, that there's certainty when I move, right? That's radical obedience. And am I obedient in every area of my life or just those that we can see? That's radical obedience, all right? Because success, I love Myron Golden says, success has a need for speed. Success has a need for speed, honey. So you got to move quickly. We take life for granted. Like, we take the brevity of life for granted and we're just like, I'll get around to it. I'm working on it. Y'all say all type of stuff to me. I'm working on it. I'm in transition. I'm like, what makes you think you got next year? What makes you think? Like, get it done so you can get this favor that comes with getting it done. Radical obedience grants you favor, so you got to get it done. I don't understand. I ain't never seen so many people at one time put off favor. Like, I'm good. I don't need favor. I just want to keep hard working my way to the top. Did you know when you're obedient and when you're radically obedient, you don't have to work as hard because you get so much favor. Like, God gives you so much favor that you can afford to take some time off from working so hard. Right? You don't have, everything doesn't require elbow grease when you're obedient because you begin to get so much favor. Like I get opportunities that I don't have to work for because I have faith. Like, literally, somebody was in my email box 2 days ago and he has a nonprofit, and they brought me in to speak for the children in his nonprofit, these teenagers. They service teenagers who are victims of gun violence, right? And so I did a health series for them, and it concluded some months back. And he just emailed me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, we want to get you back up in here. Can we talk about our next phase of programming? Let's talk about what your fee is. Let's talk about." I didn't reach out to him. I didn't have to work hard for this opportunity. I just showed up the first time on assignment, operating in my gift. And then what happened? Favor said, "You're not going to have to worry about where your next gig from because I'm going to drop it in your email." But I don't have to work as hard when I'm obedient. Does that make sense? You don't have to. We got an offer back in March. I think it was March, April. May? No, back in May, we got an offer for our company, and they made the offer to us, and they made it so simple. And right now, like today, matter of fact, today I'm waiting for an email from my attorney who's drawing up the terms of this offer. We didn't ask for it. It was made to us. Obedience grants you favor. If you sick of working so hard for everything that you want in life, just start being obedient. I ain't never seen so many people be like, nah, I'm so accustomed to working hard that I'm not interested in favor. I'm not interested in taking my foot off the gas. I just want to overwork for everything. I just want to be tired all the time. I just want to be stressed out. I just want to constantly worry about where the next opportunity, where the next gig, where the next customer is coming from. No, just be obedient and start being obedient in every area of your life so that when the opportunity, the customer, and the gig comes, you're ready physically, mentally, and emotionally. That obedience grants you favor. And so check the boxes that I laid out for you guys today and make sure that you're crystal clear on what obedience looks like and then what a radical obedience look like, and fall in line. Fall in line. Success loves speed. So do it as quickly as possible. Do it as quickly as possible and watch the favor start rolling in. I told you guys on the previous video, like it would be extra hard for me to go out of business because opportunities come to me. I would like to go out of business. I would have to change my number, change my website, probably get a face reconstruction because opportunities come to us now. Like we don't have to work as hard to get them. But favor ain't fair, but y'all knew that already. All right, I'm out of here. Listen, shout out to our 30-day challengers. Again, thank you so much for Leslie, one of our 30-day challengers who was my muse for this episode. So thank you, Leslie, for pushing me and saying, at least I don't really even know what obedience is. Can you break it down for me? So I hope this was helpful, at least to Leslie, if nobody else. At least to Leslie, if nobody else. We're rocking and rolling. We just completed our first week in the 30-day vegan, no salt, oil, or sugar-free challenge, and it's only getting better. And what's so cool about today's live is that this Wednesday, in 2 days, on June 12th, our live class for the challenge is literally entitled Disobedience and Disease. So I'm like, yo, this is so perfect that Leslie pushed me to talk about this today, because we're talking about disobedience and disease on Wednesday during our 30-day challenge. And me and Dr. Judy Bragman, she's named the Plant-Based MD on Instagram. What up, Judy? She's going to be in conversation with me, and we're going to be talking about the consequences of disobedience, from an overall quality of life aspect. But then we're going to talk about the consequences of disobedience from a disease and chronic health aspect. Did y'all know that being disobedient can be harmful to your health? I don't know if y'all know that. Y'all probably know it could be harmful to your mental health because you have like regrets and all of this stuff, but it can be harmful from the neck down if you are disobedient. Absolutely. Because the stress, anyway, I'm going to break it down on Wednesday, on June 12th. So we're going to have a good time. So if you're in a challenge, make sure you're in live class on Wednesday, June 12th. If you're not in a challenge, shame on you. We'll put the link for you to join the challenge right here in the show notes. That's it. And that's all. Let me see what y'all saying on Instagram before I hop off. Buff First says, yes, ma'am. Thank you for this. You're so welcome. What up, PJ? PJ says, success loves speed. #bar. Late Bloomer 391 said, I just wrote that favor is fair. Favor ain't fair, Late Bloomer. Favor ain't fair. Everybody can't get it. Everybody can't get it. You got to earn favor. You got to earn favor. So that's it for me. I will be back here next Monday, same time, 10 a.m. EST every Monday. You guys share this with somebody who needs to understand the importance of walking in their purpose and staying on assignment. Love you guys. Talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.